It's not good.
The way you're supposed to build a hot rod, or the right way you're supposed to build a hot rod.
Is there a wrong way? You gotta do what you gotta do.
And I'm doing just that.
What are you doing? You in your garage, working on your cars? You should be. What's going on, everyone? Give me 1 second. I'll shut the heat off, and then I'll fill you in on what's up. So if you look closely at the sedan body, you'll see things that are a little out of whack. I'll tell you why. So I'm out in the garage, and I came out in the garage, flipped the light on, turned the heat on, and I looked, and I'm like, man, that kind of looks weird. The sedan kind of creased on itself because I took the bracing out the other day when I cut the floor out. So now the doors aren't lining up and all types of stuff. I need to get things kind of back in line, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna lift the body back up again. I don't have anywhere to start from because all of the sub rails are essentially gone out of this car. I'm going to lift the door up, so watch. It's not good. I need to lift the door up. I need to get this belt line even with the back of the back of panel. Lift the door up, and I'm going to clean off some metal in a few spots. And I've never even had this door open. And I'm going to get that welded together temporarily. Once I can get the floor structure in, I'll pull the doors off because there is going to need to be a little bit of metal work down on this edge. It's kind of not good. So I got to get the car up, sitting right, get some floor structure in it, get things connected. But first I gotta get this thing back in line, get my gaps set, so to speak. I'll be able to tweak things afterwards, but I just need to get it kind of close to setting where it's supposed to be. So I told you guys, there's gonna be a lot of work involved. I'm just a regular guy figuring this stuff out as I go. Just because I did one car doesn't mean the next one is gonna be the same. I did a 1930-31 Cabriolet probably 3 years ago, and it had zero structure in it, zero nothing, no rear wheel wells. I put a new firewall on it because the firewall was completely cut out. The difference between that car and this car is, even though that didn't have a floor in it, all the metal that was there was good. The sheet metal was all good, so I actually had something pretty good to work with. I didn't have to do any patch panels. That's kind of what I thought I was buying when I bought this car. Thought the metal was a lot better and ended up not being as good as I thought. I'm forced to do some metal work on it. I gotta get it structurally sound. I want to give the next person a good platform to work off of. In order to do that, I gotta make sure everything's kind of square and level, not twisted. I get the doors so they're lined up and my gaps are good. And then once the floor structure's in and I start cutting some bracing away, once I get it braced up, things aren't gonna move again. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. All right, ran outside, grabbed some steel, grabbed some angle iron that was free that most people probably have in their house. You guys will all know what it is when I show it to you. Every one of you. What does that look like? Old bed frame. Now, I know a lot of guys that have probably used this stuff on their cars, and I have, not on any of the cars that I'm driving now, but when I threw together that Cabriolet, I used this. It's cheap angle iron. One of the downfalls of it is it's painted. I'm only using this material to support the body. Once it's all supported, it's where it needs to be, and I can attach it to the subfloor or the new floor structure. This stuff will all get cut out, but I'll keep it because I'll use it on the next one. We're gonna start supporting the body, getting it level. The easiest way at this point for me to get this car level is to measure from the floor up. I need to find some spots or some points on the car, on the body itself, on the inside, or even on the outside, that are even. So I have to measure from the floor up. And that's really, because the floor is level, that's really the only level spot that I can measure from. Unless I had a level, or like a laser, I don't have one of those. Once I get those measurements, I'm gonna clean off some spots where I'm gonna measure from. So I'm gonna create some legs. I'm gonna basically put the body on legs or stilts so it's stable and it's level. And at that point, I'll start attaching the body to the floor structure as long as I can get good metal to weld to, which I'm pretty sure I can. I think there's enough. I'm gonna be welding to the A pillar, the B pillar, and then there's a channel that runs down underneath the back windows. And then once I can kind of get the body sitting straight, the firewall is gonna sit level on the chassis, so I don't have to really worry much about the firewall, the front of the firewall, but the back of the cowl at the A pillar, I need to make sure I got some structure there. So essentially I'm gonna try to measure from the lower hinge on either side and work from the lower hinge. That'll be my mounting spot for my legs on the cowl. You guys will see as I'm going. Hopefully you'll be able to follow along and figure it out. Someone asked me on the last video in the comments what my face shield is. I'm going to show you guys it right here. I need to replace the screen. I have an extra, I just haven't done it. This is a Uvex Bionic Shield, face shield. They're like $30. I got this one on Amazon. You can remove and replace the actual Lexan lenses because they do get scratched and foggy. This thing's awesome. It's big enough so I can wear my respirator. This respirator is Western Safety. So you guys may have seen these. I got this at Harbor Freight, but I'll show you what I did. Right here, there's a strap here and a strap here that goes over the top of your head. I just cut it off because it was kind of funky. And once you put it on, it doesn't really drop. It doesn't fall down, you have to pull it down. I think the strap obviously was to keep it up over your face. This thing worked really good the other day. Just to protect myself. Kind of got some slack from a few people a while back working on the 27, dealing with a lot of rust. And I didn't usually have breathing protection because when you're wearing eye protection and ear protection, you can't always fit everything at the same time. So I found this at Harbor Freight, stumbled across it, figured I'd try it out, and they all seem to work pretty good together. I don't really recall what I paid for it, maybe 10, 15 bucks. But you know, whatever you spend on your health, protecting your health is certainly money well spent. And then regular foam earplugs. All right, so I'm gonna clean off some metal so I can get my legs measured out and get this body sitting on stilts. I'm gonna get some metal cut. I got my measurement now. I'm gonna cut a couple pieces of steel, build some legs. Free metal. Didn't cost me anything. Alright, let's get these cut and hopefully get these welded right in place real quick. Work our way backwards. Get these cleaned up real quick and get it welded in place. Each side. Double check my measurements, make sure it's sitting level, which I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, this side's sitting a little bit lower. Yeah, it's just kind of hanging there. So I'm just measuring these, putting a mark on them at 19.5, and that's the height. I'm gonna mount them and weld them to the hinges. All right, let's get these welded on. Woo, poopy. Dang. A lot of porosity. Well, that explains it. I must have bumped my gauge. The regulator. With the gas coming out. That's better. There we go. Got my mark already made. Let's see. So you can see what I'm doing. I got the leg there. See that? And then my leg there. Exact same thing, both sides. Is this the way you're supposed to build a hot rod? Or the right way you're supposed to build a hot rod? Is there a wrong way? You gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm doing just that. What are you doing? Garage, working on your cars? You should be. B-pillar. The problem right now for me with the B-pillar, mounting anything with the B-pillar is, I have a little bit of the rocker panel, or what's left of the sub rail, still attached to the car on the passenger side. Driver's side completely fell off. I think I'm gonna have to do is take you guys off the camera and show you what I'm gonna do. Because you guys love that when I do that, huh? You love it. Going for a walk. You can see the B-pillar right there on the back side of the door. It's got wood in it. I can't weld to wood. That's a problem. I can weld below the wood, but I don't have access to it over here. The reason I don't have access to it is because that rocker panel is still there. Sorry if it's dark. Yeah, you can see it. This is the rocker panel right here. And it's connected to the bottom of the B-pillar. So I have no access to the bottom of the B-pillar because that sub rail is still there. So what I can do is access a little bit further up here, or even on the back of it. In order to attach to this, I'm gonna go from here, there's a lip here, to the lip on that side. I'm gonna put a whole brace across side to side of the body, so the legs on the B-pillar are gonna be inside the body. And then on the back of the car, you can see the channel there, on the back of the window, right there. I'm gonna weld to that, and the legs will also be inside the body in the back of the car. So the floor in the back of the car will be inside, and the front will be outside. If I need to, and I have enough material, if I have to make them on the inside, I'll make them on the inside for whatever reason. I don't think I need to, but if I have to, I will. I'm gonna go across side to side from the body, from each side of the car behind the doors, and then I'm gonna do 2 longer legs down. The thing should be leveling out at that point. You can see where things went awry. It's my cheap Harbor Freight jack. I've had this for a while, Pittsburgh. It weeps now. It won't hold pressure, so that's why the whole body settled. It's not like it was nice before I started, and it certainly didn't make it any worse. We're making things better over here in Middleborough, Mass, this old hot rod. We're making things better. We're not making things worse. Next is making a measurement, side to side. Hoping it's close to what I need. Where it sits now probably isn't. Yeah, 48 inches will do the trick. So now all we need to do is take one of these pieces. Well, there's already legs on it. Holy shit. Well, wouldn't that be something, huh? If you could just use a bed frame? No, we ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna do it the way I plan on doing it. 48 inches, I'm gonna cut it. These pieces of metal for the legs. And then do the same at the back of the car. I need to get my knee pads on though. My legs hurt, my knees hurt, because they're old and decrepit. I don't know what I did with them. Oh well. My P-Town slippers. And if you know what P-Town is, you'll understand why knee pads are known as P-Town slippers. Just gonna cut it off first and then measure from there. 48. You get back here. I mean, this doesn't have to be exact, but 48 was an easy number to remember, and it'll work. Get the ends cleaned up so I can weld to it, to the car itself, and then get it welded in place, and then measure for my legs. I need to clean up the metal on the areas that I'm going to weld this to on the body, and then once that's done, I'm going to get it welded. Let's go! So I can explain it as I go. Let's get some lights on. Oh, you guys are spoiled. Look at that. Man. Spoiled. We got some high cost production going on here. I'm going to bring my tools in there with me so I don't have to crawl back out of there because I'm halfway crippled. So before I get the back leg started, I kind of needed to get this belt line figured out. So what I did was I hooked the strap from the bottom hinge on the passenger door, and there's a bracket where the wood mounts to in the top back corner of the car. If you guys are familiar with these cars, you'll know it's on the inside. I'll do a short video with my phone and show you. You can see the strap where it's mounted there. So I got the strap mounted there, the strap mounted down on the front hinge there. Simply a ratchet strap. I just started tightening until things were lined up. Now that they're lined up or close, I kind of tried to pinch the door shut. I pulled the body out a little bit, got the body lined up with the outside edge of the door. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this welded right here. I'm gonna add a weld there, weld in this area, and if I can get it welded down underneath the belt line, I will. The metal sucks. It's the easiest way to keep things in line. And once that's welded, I'll then be able to kind of move the body around, and it should move more as one instead of pieces moving. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm doing. And remember, make sure you put your welds where you can get to them with a cut-off wheel in the future. Otherwise, you won't be able to get your welds undone. Ruled by the laws above. Nature shows me, makes me. I don't know that I'll be able to get anything to be able to really get welded down here, because this metal appears to be extremely thin. This may be something that you need to do in the future, or with the car that you're working on right now and you weren't really sure of the process, how to go about it. This is just the way I'm going about it. My brain tells me what I need to do. I figure things out with my brain. Your brain may work differently. So you do things the way your brain tells you to do things. I'm simply doing things the way that my brain says, if you do this, it'll work. So that's what we're doing. See if it'll weld. Turn my heat. That works too. You just hit the tip of my welding tip with my sanding pad until I sand through the weld and the wire pops back out. Let's try clamping this thing shut. Now we gotta try to do one on the bottom. I don't know how that's gonna go. This rocker panel is kind of, I almost wish this rocker panel fell off. It seems to kind of be in the way. I'm gonna leave that right in place the way it is. The door is essentially where it needs to be. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the areas in the back of the car cleaned up. I did gymnastics when I was a kid. That was a long time ago. I'm not cut out for gymnastics anymore. Alright. Oh, I forgot my... Oh no, I got my grinder right there. Alright, there's my legs. That extra piece of metal. So now I'm gonna clean up this area right below the piece of metal that you would mount your window regulator panel to. Right below that. And that's where I'm going to weld it to. You'll see. You'll see. Have some faith. Oh, no pits there. No pits. Just kidding. Lots of pits. I was thinking about calling it the garbage can sedan. Better than the shit can sedan. I don't think anyone would buy it if I called it that. Alright. Metal. Behind my back. So this is how I'm going to do this. Right like that. I can do it like that. That makes more sense, doesn't it? Well, like that. Yeah, I'm just going to do it that way. You know what I'm saying? There's no right or wrong way. So this channel comes down, and I'm going to assume from the factory they were the same height, or they were at the same location on either side. I'm going to assume that. The reason why I'm going to assume that is because that's exactly where I'm going to put this. Right at the bottom of that channel. I'm going to weld it on either side, and I'm going to weld my legs here. So let's get my welder and get things welded. praying to the good Lord that I actually weld it when I'm trying to, you know? That is special. I glued it. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. But here's the thing. The wall of the outside of the car, that right there, I'm holding the door to the B-pillar or to the quarter panel on the driver's side. I should have my ground closer to where I'm welding instead of going through the entire car, but it worked. I need to make vertical measurements on the inside of the frame rails for my legs, my stanchions. I'll measure it where I'm going to put my legs, I guess. Figure out, as long as it's even, I'll know the body's sitting even. If it's not, you know, I'll adjust accordingly and then weld things where I need to weld things. There's been a lot of people that reached out and even commented on the video that said how much me doing this video is helping them, because there's so many people that are in this exact situation. You buy a body like this and you think, yeah, I can do it, it's easy, and it's not that it's easy, it's not that it's hard. You just kind of know where to start, and a lot of guys don't know where to start. Neither did I when I started doing this. But I figured it out as I go, and I really try to make things as easy as I can for myself. It's really rewarding to know that there are people out there that appreciate the fact that I'm doing this and it's helping them. I'm a ½ inch shorter on the driver's side than I am on the passenger side right now. So 25 inches right here, 24 and a half there. So I'm a ¼ inch out of level. So the whole body's going to drop a little bit on the passenger side. Or it's going to go up on the driver's side. Alright, how am I going to do that? I'm going to make sure my frame is... I checked it before and it was level, so... I was trying to figure out exactly where I thought I went wrong, but I didn't. So what was going on was, I have a jack kind of holding up the body in the back of the car with a piece of bar going across it. Just to hold it all up. When I put the jack in the middle of the car, and when it lifted up, it kind of like lifted it cockeyed. So I ended up moving the jack over, jacking it back up, and kind of just shifting the jack so I can get it to a point where it was balanced just right. So this piece of metal is now level. I checked the metal on the back window, it's level, and I checked the metal on the structure that does the back window regulator, that's level. So everything on the body at this point right now is level. The chassis is level. Everything's exactly where it needs to be. I did my measurements over. The measurements are good now. They're level, or they're within a 1/16 of an inch. So what I need to do is get my stanchions or my legs marked, cut to length, cleaned up, and welded in place. So what I'm going to do now is going to let the jack down and then check the level, make sure it's level when the jack's down and the body is sitting on the stanchions. At that point, if it's level, then I'm going to work my way back and do the furthest ones back. So these bodies are all in individual panels, and there's a seam where the panel down on the bottom of the back of the cab on these cars meets the rear quarter panel, the lower portion. There's a couple of big mounts, sheet metal mounts. So maybe I'll tack one. Maybe I'll tack the legs to those. That would put me all the way back on the back of the car. That actually may end up working out a little bit better. I don't know. Alright, let me lower the jack down and see if this thing drops down on that leg. It should. There we go. So it is currently sitting on 4 stanchions, not on the floor of the car, or the chassis of the car. It is perfectly level. Alright. Good. Step number 2 done. On to step number 3. Woo, it's moving. And get those tacked and welded in place. Figuring out as we go, guys. Figuring it out. It's telling me what it needs. You know the deal. Okay guys, so what I ended up doing, I'll show you real quick. Just trying to clean up a little bit of the mess. I
I need to still finish weld the mounts so they're not just tacked in place, to make sure they're gonna hold good while I'm kind of in here bumping things around. So I'll do this middle cross member, put it on stanchions. I did something a little bit different for the back, across the back of the car. I'll tell you why first, and then I'll show you what I did. So what I ended up doing a little different, the lights are super bright. So what I ended up doing different was, instead of me building legs around in the back of the car, they were gonna kind of interfere with the future work on building the structure between the floor structure and the body. So what I ended up doing was I ended up just putting a piece of that angle iron from the bed frame across from side to side of the body, but I put it directly on top of the floor structure. So I don't have to worry about any stanchions or anything being in the way. I can now start tying everything in. You can see what I got done. You can see that piece of stock that's going behind the cross member. This here. That's the piece of steel that I put across. You can see where it's sitting right on the new floor structure. Also on the other side, it's attached to the channel where the window regulator would go down. So this piece of metal fit right in there perfectly. So I just couple tack welds and one on the back. That was different than the other two. Like I said, obviously you guys saw what I did here. You can see the lights a little better there. And then obviously the ones in the front. What I'm gonna do at this point is I'm gonna remove the chain fall. I'm hoping everything, I mean, it's already loose, everything's sitting on the ground or on the chassis, everything should be good to go. The next big thing I can do is start cleaning the areas of metal where I'm gonna start attaching the floor structure to. And that's also, again, at the cowl feet, the A pillar, the B pillar, right in front of or near the wheel well somewhere, probably be in that channel where the window rolls down. And then there's two mounts on the very back of the car, kind of flanking the center section, the center of the rear panel on either side of that. A lot of people have reached out and said they really appreciate that I'm doing this, and they're really following along closely because this is what they're currently doing, or they have a car and they're overwhelmed. They're not exactly sure where to start, how to start, what to do. They're just not sure. This will hopefully show you the process and how easy it is. I've been out here for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. This is the most time, one amount of time that I've spent working on this car. I knew this was going to be a lot of work. It would have been easier if I had previously welded the passenger door shut. I should have. I thought it was because the driver's door was welded shut. I don't know why the passenger side wasn't. I think I did that. I'm not sure. That would have helped because I wouldn't have had the ratchet strap and all that other stuff. But at this point, I'm pretty sure the car is sitting level on the ground and the chassis. The chassis is level. I checked it. I went around with all my level, checked it everywhere. It's sitting exactly where it needs to be. It looks good. So the car at this point, where it's sitting, there's 2 inches of metal below the bottom of the frame rail. Frame rail at the point where the doors are, because that's the only good metal on the car that I can kind of measure from. The height of the frame is 4 inches. It's 2 inches below the frame, so I have a 6-inch channel. That's exactly what I wanted. So you guys saw where I cut on the firewall. That area on the firewall was kind of the footprint for the rest of the channel. So cutting it where I cut it and then dropping it down, as long as you get the back of the car sitting the way you want to, you'll essentially have a 6-inch channel front to back. If you want to do what's called a wedge channel, which would be 6 inches in the front and maybe 4 in the back or 5 in the back, you would kind of give the body some extra rake, and then with the rake of the rubber, your wheels and tires, or your tire height, you would really get an exaggerated rake. I don't want to do that with this car. I just want to keep it 6 inches across, all the way front to back. Just keep it simple. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to start tying the floor structure to the body. Basically going to add like posts or wings going out from the long pieces of stock that go down the length of the frame. I'm basically going to just start taking small pieces, whatever I need, going out and connecting to the body edges wherever I can weld them. I'm just going to weld them so the body and the floor are going to be one piece like they should be, and at that point I'll start sheathing. I have a stack of sheet metal. The reason I got that stack of sheet metal was several months ago over the summertime
I got a phone call, it was my brother I think, and said that there was a building a couple towns over that was being torn down, or soon to be torn down, and it looks like there was some old car parts in there. I found a ton of stuff, car parts included. Everything was early Ford. I even found a 34 Ford radiator, grill shell bezel, you know, emblem bezel for a 34 grill shell. I couldn't believe it. There was just tons of stuff. So I grabbed tons and tons of stuff. And one of the things that I grabbed, which for whatever reason the scrappers missed it, they were kind of tucked to the side, was I found about a 3-inch stack of 4-foot by 2-foot tall pieces of 18 gauge or 19 gauge, 18 gauge sheet metal. That's the sheet metal I'm using. I didn't pay anything for it. I got it for free because they were tearing down the building, and I got a lot of other metal too. I'm going to try to use that also if I can. I don't know that I can, but that sheet metal is really important to have. It's expensive nowadays. I have essentially, like, I don't even know, 20 sheets or something like that. I don't know how many sheets I have, but they're smaller pieces, but it's perfect. Be nice and easy, just do one piece at a time, go front to back. I need to add some floor structure where my pedals and my footwells are going to be, but we'll do that after the fact. I want to get the body basically tied together, get a floor in there from about where the transmission or the front of the seat's going to go all the way to the back. That's going to be our main goal on the next video after I get the floor structure tied to the body. So next video is going to be floor structure tied to the body. Following video will be, we're going to start the sheet metal process. I need front and rear shackles for Model A front end and Model A rear axle so I can get the springs mounted. I have springs. I got them from Brad Barrows. He was cleaning out his yard. There were a couple Model A springs front and rear. He said take them. He's never going to use them, so I took them. I just need shackles. Once I get shackles, I can get this car up on axles, and I just got to figure out what I'm going to use for wheels. I already have the tires, white walls, they're good. Yeah, so I just got to find a decent set of 15-inch wheels, early Ford bolt pattern, 5 on 5.5, and that's going to be it. This thing will be a roller. So, and then after that, we'll get into the pedal assembly. And once that's done, finish the floor structure, get my steering in, so I'll get the steering column, the pitman arm, all that, whole assembly, so we can make the thing steer. And then motor and transmission. I think I'm going to mock up, I have a flathead on a stand over here in the back of in the front side of the garage. That's going to go in Allie's Roadster in the future. But I'm going to take that and I'm just going to mock it up. The car will not go with that motor. It won't go with any motor unless I can find one really cheap. Again, I'm really trying to build this car for under $2,000. And I guess it's cheating to a kind of, because I've acquired so many parts that I'm able to do this by just going into my shipping container and grabbing parts and throwing them on the car. Most of them at this point are free. They don't owe me anything. I'm trying to do it right now without taking any money out of my pocket. I'm trying to build this car for $2,000. $1,500 body, $50 chassis. $82 for the steel for the floor structure, bed frame to make the stanchions for the body to hold it up, and at this point that's it. I'll have free sheet metal for the floors, pedal assemblies. I've got half a dozen sets of pedals, early Ford. We'll use one of those. Again, a lot of them you just throw them in a pile and you buy stuff. You don't really know what you end up paying for stuff, but that's it. So the other main costs are going to be patch panels if I end up going that far, and motor and transmission. Alright guys, that's it for me on this video. Thanks for watching, I appreciate it. Thanks for all the interest in the Model A two-door sedan. I think I'm just going to call it the garbage can sedan, and hopefully you kind of understand why. You know, I'm kind of using all my trashy pieces to make it a car, except for the windshield frame. The windshield frame, that's a high dollar item. That is what's going to sell this car. So thanks everybody, take care, see you soon, bye bye.